Hello, ladies.
Hi, Auntie.
Welcome to episode 21 of Auntie Listen. And we're going to start with our quote. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And that is a quote by John Quincy Adams. What do you guys think of the quote?
I like
Yep.
that. I always feel like we can all do more.
I,
Everybody.
I was just about to say there's always room for more. Everybody should always be expanding and growing. So to hear it is a good reminder.
Yeah. Okay, Auntie Marva, we're going to turn it over to you for announcements.
Yes. So tomorrow actually is supposed to be a holiday, right?
Yeah,
President's Day?
President's Day. Mhm.
President's Day. So, kudos to y'all that don't have no work tomorrow. I got to go to work. The campus is still open and functioning, so y'all have one to hang out for me. Do not forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And where can you do all of this at? On YouTube, Auntie Listen Podcast, IG at Auntie Listen, on X, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, on Auntie List, LIST. 52888. That's Auntie List, LIST 52888 on TikTok at Auntie Listen and on Patreon at Auntie Listen. You can join for an early access for a simple old $5. That's the cost. That's the cost of a costly name brand coffee. But you can get access to our whole entire conversation before everybody else can. Don't forget to follow our affiliate links where you can get discounts and on and shopping at places that you already shop at. That's Amazon, Bath and Body Works, Target, Walgreens, Walmart, and you can even join the Great Discovery to take classes or upload your own class. You can sign up for free, or you can upload your own get some paid classes, upload your own paid course. And don't forget to get your merch. We like merch. We always like merch. We always want to represent who we like to follow, who we like to listen to. So don't forget to share ours. You can get you a bag, you can get you a coffee mug, you can get you a t-shirt, get your Auntie Listen merch. And if I ain't never told y'all before,
Stop singing that.
okay. If I ain't never told y'all before, I love you. And if I don't, you'll figure it out.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
My bad.
Mm-hmm. Got a lot of editing to do in the first few segments.
It be
Part,
like that
first
sometimes.
part.
It
Yeah.
be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it does be like that sometimes. Okay. So for our food around the world, our first stop is Germany. And we are doing Omas. Now, I am not going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm going to give it a really good college try. Apfelkuchen, which pretty much translates to grandma's apple pie.
Ooh.
Yes. And so we will have the recipe in the description so you can get this apple pie. So it's like it says it embraces nostalgic flavors and homey feelings with Apfelkuchen, an old-fashioned dessert recipe that's been deliciously prepped for more than 150 years. And
Interesting.
then our next stop, we're heading over to Brazil. And in Brazil, we are going to have picanha. Hopefully, I pronounced that one correctly. But it's one of Brazil's most loved grilled meats. The pi- picanha is both the name of the dish and the name of the cut used to make the dish. The cut comes from the top back side of the animal and is located above the butt. The meat is cut into slices, which are generously sprinkled and skewered and cooked over embers. When done, the meat is carved and the outside slices are served. The remaining picanha meat is salted again and placed over the embers so the outsides can caramelize and be sliced again for another portion. It is it is a mainstay at Brazilian. Just gonna do the English version because I can't pronounce the it is barbecue restaurants where it's served side with dishes like faroha, rice and beans, and vinaigrette. So, what do you think about those meals? Because you didn't care for the meals from last. Well, you didn't care for the fruit cake from last month. So, Auntie Marva, will you indulge in this dessert this month?
Um,
It's just an apple pie.
I can do the apple.
You
I
can do
can
that.
do the apple pie.
Okay.
Uh, but wait. Oh man, why is she calling? Um, your sister is calling me.
Oh,
I'm trying to click her off. It didn't. Can y'all hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can do the apple
Yep.
pie. The fact that you did it said that it was nostalgic, that mean that it was probably made from scratch and it got some couple of, it's probably some hang time on the back of them arms. So it was some good work put in them bowls. So I can eat that as long as it's fresh out the oven. Don't give me no soggy apple pie. If my apple pie crust ain't crispy and light and flaky and buttery, throw the whole pie in the trash. Just
Oh,
toss it.
no, she didn't say through the whole pie. Oh, wow. Okay, Auntie, Auntie John.
I like that pastry this week much better than last. I mean, this month much better than last because I don't know what the other folks are doing, but I visit Germany just for that.
All right. Oh, but okay, but you guys are just thinking of that at fruit.
Don't nobody want no fruit cake. Why we keep trying to revisit
but, you,
this?
but it's not like the American fruit cake. It
I
didn't have
can't do
like
it.
it
I
didn't have
don't
like a
want no.
thousand stuff.
I don't want no parts of it.
I tried, Dutch. I tried to sway them, but it's just not working.
Eh,
Just not working. Okay, fine. So
eh,
our topic this month comes from Auntie Marva,
eh.
and we are talking about the family dynamics and TV family versus real families. So, Auntie Marva, since this
Mhm,
is your topic, would
mhm.
you like to start us off?
Sure. Let me open up and ask this question. What was your top? I'm gonna say one. Give me your. I don't know if you can narrow it down. If you can't narrow it down, give me two. Give me your two top favorite um black sitcoms from the 90s. I'm gonna say 80s and the 90s. You can say 80s and 90s.
Mm, well, the only shows, okay, the only chocolate shows that I watched was the Cosby and a different world. But I don't know, but a different world isn't really a family show because
It
they were
was. It was.
okay, because they were all college students. So
It was still family.
okay. Okay.
It was still family.
Okay. So those were my two. Auntie Janisha, you could go.
I'm sorry, what was the question? Y'all know I'm doing auntie stuff. We all
I,
doing auntie stuff this
oh,
this.
Okay, so let us highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie Marva has the little ones. Drove the
Stop saying
Okay.
names.
So I have the little ones. Auntie Marva has the little ones. My niece drove her little ones down because they are out for school. And so they were hanging with their grandma for a week or so. And she won't be getting them until Monday. So they hanging out with your
Tomorrow.
dog until then. And Auntie Janisha, because I got the little ones for her, she is completing her yard work before, or trying, attempting to complete some yard work before they get there.
Right.
Because once they get there, she won't be able to do nothing. So she in and out. That's why she keep asking. Like, okay, so what was the question? What about? So we may get that a
Building a
few
chicken coop over
times.
here.
We may get that a few times throughout the show just because she is pressed for time and the sun almost going down. And she got to get on the highway and drive before she even get these little ones. So we sorry for that.
Yeah, and Auntie Janisha, would you like to explain to us what you're doing?
Yes. So my chickens. I've been gone about a year, back on the road, truck driving, as many of you know. Um, and the chicken coop is just overgrown. I didn't make it so that they can get in here and cut, and I made it way too big, way too big. So it's like a little house in itself. So myself and my mister are dismantling it, and we have to fight through weeds and possible snakes and uh,
You.
bees and wasps and whatever else you might find in thick brush, tangled in wire and wood. That's what's going on.
Oh, so that's going to be the chopping noise we hear in the background.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it on mute though as much as I can.
Okay. So, would you like to answer Auntie Marva's question? What was your two um, chocolate
Favorite.
family TV shows that you watched?
The chocolate family ones,
Yeah.
black people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. She said black people.
family. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Family oriented. Specifically family oriented.
um, well, the Cosbys were cute. Of course, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to say them because, like, what else was there? My favorite was okay. Bringing it up to the 2020s, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things constitute as family these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to say, a different world because when they left home, those were definitely their family.
I told you, Auntie.
Yeah,
And
you did.
Mm-hmm.
um, who else? I guess the living single as well. I just love how those young
Don't you
folks,
sing that theme song?
yeah, living single. It's gonna be
I
them.
loved that thing. I was a theme song fanatic, by the way, especially from the 90s. Like, I would walk around singing them like they were playing on the radio. You dig? I
Yes,
loved them all.
but we don't own the copyright, so you can't be singing them
I
now. So
know.
I have not heard of that show. So what was that one about?
So it was a bunch of girlfriends. It was like the original Friends. The
It was the original
the
Friends.
show Friends was built on the back of Living Single, and it was written by
Hmm.
the same people, as a matter of fact. It was one, two, three, might as well say four. It was three black friends, and they had a fourth friend who would come over. And even though she was a lawyer, she had her own money. She was a penny pincher, so she would come over. She would eat their food and use use their house. And then they had two male friends that lived in the same building with them as well,
Hmm.
and they went through the same things that the cast members from Friends went through, but it was from a black standpoint, from a urban 90s standpoint, and it was the bomb. It was so
It was.
good.
And if you look it up now, they do say that it was a test pilot for Friends. And after they built up the time slot on Thursdays, they
Mm.
kicked them off, I think, to Sundays. And Friends got that time slot.
Yes.
Now, we're not
Oh,
going to call that what we're understanding it to be, but that's just how they played the show like that. And it was an
Yeah.
awesome show. It
It
really
was a
was.
great show. Queen
Um,
Latifah was the
oh
lead.
wait, Queen Latifah
She was her
in
Khadijah.
the Equalizer. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
my Queen Latifah. I
Yes.
love Queen Latifah. Oh,
Yeah.
I definitely will have to look up that show if she's in it.
Yep.
I love her.
They're running them back here and there.
What? Yeah, look, I love me some Equalizer. I wait for that. That's my show.
Well, her show, her sitcom, was the test pilot for Friends, as Auntie Janisha said. But it was so good
Hmm.
that it stayed on for several years. It,
Oh, okay.
it stayed on for several years, and man, it was just a good show. It was such a good show. It was an excellent show.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because they
I'm
were
gonna.
all young professionals, and they had their, their little dating situations and all the stuff. Same exact thing as Friends. They literally tested one for the other,
Oh, okay. And
and which is not fair. But I'm glad it did give those actors and actresses a lot of exposure. Matter of fact, Tootie was on there. She was Regine, who's the little bougie one, always liked her hair and her clothes and everything, you know.
oh,
Um,
okay.
And to the guy, she was the boy crazy one.
hmm Then you had your goofy one that was Sinclair.
And yeah, she was
Yeah.
goofy as all get out.
Oh, okay. So were they all like um kind of famous, like, or was Queen Latifah and Tootie the only two famous ones?
Two of them, I know Carl. I forget his name was Carl on the show, right? What was his name? Carl on the show.
Uh,
Pam.
Carl.
Pam had come from the Cosby Show, and
Mm.
actually her name was
And she
Pam
was
on the
on A
Cosby Show.
Different World as well.
She was on the Cosby Show in a different world. She was the niece that came and lived with Bill Cosby.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
And her name was Pam. So her name was Pam on that. Her name was Pam on the show too. So why
Was
you
it
put
Pam
on? Yeah, her name was Pam on the Cosby Show too.
on there?
Oh,
I
Yep.
remember. I don't know.
So or was it Pam?
It wasn't Pam on.
no,
It
I don't
wasn't
think her.
Pam.
No,
Okay,
I don't.
her name was Pam on the Cosby Show, but her name was what was her name?
I don't know.
I cannot think right now.
Oh wow, me either. Max. Her
Max.
name was Max on the show, but she was a lawyer. Max was a lawyer. She
One.
was a, but she was a penny pincher, so she would come and use. She would eat their food, use their phone, but she was successful. Oddly, so she would come and eat all their food, but she was hilarious. When I say she was hilarious.
O-
Um, and then
okay,
you okay, ahead.
okay, but don't you know someone like that in real life who is successful, but they go to their family house
I don't know who
and
you talking
eat
about.
they and eat their food.
Who would that be?
I'm sure there are family members that are like that.
You what you trying to say, Auntie?
Just saying. There are people.
Listen,
There are
my sisters never turned me down, okay? And they know that I have no problem returning the favor. So if they don't,
I was not
I have to
I
come off
feel
speaking.
mute for
like
this one.
I
Okay,
feel
Faces,
like
Gil.
the faces that I'm making.
I was not speaking about
I
anyone
gotta fill up this book.
specifically. I
I
was
gotta fill up
just
this book.
saying in general that we all have that there are family members that are actually like that. Geez, I didn't know my statement was going to open a can of worms. Go ahead. Go ahead with your point.
Anyway, that show was the bomb diggity. So I have to agree with Auntie Jarnisha because that show was lit. It was a good show.
And like I
That
said, both
show,
of those definitely constitute as family shows by today's standard. Even back then, I would say that they would have considered each other family. But the way we've moved and how we look at families and the definition has even changed. So. Yeah,
Yeah.
Living Single and um uh Hillman
Cosby
College.
Show. No,
Not
you
the Cosby
said
Show.
you said a
A
different
Different
word.
World.
Yeah.
I said the
Yeah.
college name, Hillman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I I definitely loved we all going through a nod at the Cosby Show because it was the Cosby Show. You did,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Right.
have to definitely agree um with Living Single just because of everything we said just now. But I was a goofball. I was a goofball, and so I got to roll with Martin because
With who?
Martin.
Oh.
This was Martin Lawrence's show because this was definitely their family, right? This was their family. And it kind of, played off of Living Single, if you will. But second runner up to that would be Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Because again, whereas I love, love, love the Cosby Show, I like the funny. Bring me the funny. And so they were tackling and battling some of the same family situations that other family sitcoms went through, but they was clowns. And that's the only thing that I can relate to. So
Okay.
they
I
was uh-huh.
I've only seen like clips
Oh my
of the
goodness.
Fresh of the Fresh Prince, but the other show I've never even heard of.
Oh my goodness. Auntie, dagger to the chest. Where have
What?
you been? I'm
Reading,
gonna let you borrow one of my streaming sites so you can watch some of this stuff.
reading. That's where I've been
Ain't nothing
reading.
wrong with Raymond. I read too, but I'm just saying. Your auntie didn't let us watch too much TV, so
Yeah.
we had
I
to get
mean, yeah,
okay.
and growing up, but I still am more of a detective girl.
Mhm.
So I watch more detective shows than anything else. It wasn't
Mm,
until um Friends and more me and more even more the Big Bang Theory.
yeah. Now the
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory is lit. I actually liked Sheldon when he was younger over the Big Bang Theory because Sheldon was just off the chain. But yeah, you're onto something with that one. I love the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I love the
Okay.
Big Bang Theory.
So now the reason why I chose this topic because I wanted to see you guys' opinions on how they how they could have possibly shaped the mindset of Black America now in 2025. Auntie, I get it. You didn't watch all those different shows. However, it didn't start in the 90s. It did start from the 80s. And there were, chocolate shows in the 80s that were on the air like, you know, Sanford and Son and the Jeffersons and
Nope.
Good Times and Auntie, you're killing me.
I did watch Good Times when Janet Jackson was on there.
He was such a cutie patootie.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't like so like because my mom liked that show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't like it when the husband was on there because I just didn't like that actor.
Hmm.
I don't know. There's something about him that I don't know. His energy is off. I
He
no.
was what I heard from him, he was very headstrong. I learned that and this is just a sidebar, that he did not play the radio and he was eventually kicked off of the show. He was written off. He died. Remember he died. But they wrote him off of the show because he was one of the first actors, black actors that was standing up for other black actors and how black actors were paid versus how non-black actors were paid. And he was very stern, he was very strong, and it somewhat depicted how, a typical black man would be in those times. But a lot of the times he gave the writers pushback because he wanted to show the world a different black man. He was not for the character that they wanted him to be. So he
Mm-hmm.
gave them enough to be on the show, but he definitely gave them a hard time and gave them some pushback. And eventually he was completely written off the show, which is why he died. He died. But
Right.
it was because of his beliefs, and he felt like blacks didn't have to be poor, but didn't be displayed as poor and living in the projects or struggling. He wanted them to be seen as way more.
Right. I
Mhm.
mean, I get that and I understand that, but I've seen him in other things and I
Mhm.
still, yeah, I and my opinion has not changed. So it's not him as an actor. It's just him. But so okay, by saying that, so you have a show like Good Times where they were um living in the projects
Mhm.
um
That's the Marvel just
and you had to stay. I think the mom stayed home because I don't ever remember her going out to work.
Right.
But um but then, you know, so that show was popular in, I want to say, the 70s.
Yes.
But then you come to the 80s and you have the Cosbys, where you have two successful parents. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, and you see them, you know, going out off to work. But their family dynamic, even though they their income levels were vastly different,
Correct.
their they still had, um I don't know, I liked the discipline style of the Cosby Show,
Okay.
because in their discipline style, they had these lessons,
Right.
you know, where whereas in Good Times, I didn't really feel that there was a lot of discipline.
Mhm.
Everyone just kind of like did what they wanted. And I don't know, they didn't seem as close knit of a family as the Cosby. But that's to me. But then again, I was a kid when that show was out.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So here's the thing. I remember I watched a lot of Good Times, and I actually liked that show. I watched a lot of Good Times. I watched a lot of Sanford and Son. I watched a lot of the Jeffersons, and I watched a smidget of What's Happening. Right.
Okay.
So those are the 70s. What I can say the difference between Good Times and the rest of them was the Good Times was the actual family dynamic. That displayed the actual family dynamic, because Sanford and Son, and when I say family dynamic, it's just only because we had the mother, the father, and some children in the home at a range of ages. Sanford and Son, his wife had she was deceased, and the son was an adult. Father and son were running their own business. The Jeffersons, they had no children. Yes, they did. See, they were grown though. They were done. They were
that one
retirees.
son.
Right. She had a
Mhm.
son. They were retirees. They had money. They were not poor. They worked hard, and they were living a life of luxury. And what's happening was a struggle life, but it was just mom with the kids, no father figure in the home. So Good Times to me kind of made sense because it was very much relatable, only for the simple fact that daddy was always working in our house. In their house, daddy was working. Daddy came home, their dad came home. Mama was the disciplinarian in our house. In their house, there was still a disciplinarian. It was just the dad. In our house, Daddy was our he was the lover boy. He was the one that loved on us. In their house, it was the mom. You had the goofball son who would mess up and get in trouble and do little things. That was me. That's your dog. That's I was JJ. I was JJ. Then you had the artistic one. I'm sorry, the independent one. That was the daughter, Thelma. That's John. So and I'm just telling my version. You know what I'm saying in my head.
Right.
Like there was somebody in each one of those in each one of those roles that was familiar to me. So even though yeah he may have been harsh, it was still very much relatable because the average black household, we got toe up. We
Right.
we got pops. It wasn't no go stand in the corner count to five. It wasn't no gentle parenting, none whatsoever. We was getting some spankings.
Right.
um but I wanted to highlight that because when the Cosby Show came along, it was a very much different type of discipline, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
also, it highlighted more of the different living because they were wealthier. They had money. The both parents were educated. They still came home at night together, and they were making sure that their children understood the value of the dollar, the value of education, the value of family, and the value of love.
Yeah.
That was so they operated from that point of view. So that was a shock. It was a shock wave across Black America because we had never seen that before. I'm sure we thought it existed, but we'd never seen it. It was
Some
never.
of us had never seen that. That's what
Yeah.
somebody in my background was just saying. Some of us had seen that because I went to school with debutantes,
Right.
right? Especially
Right.
when I moved to Atlanta, my last
Right.
3 years of high school. Like, but as a child, I knew who the kids with money were that looked like me, and I
That
can't
is
say their
true.
whole family dynamic was, all the giggles and laughs, and they never got whippings. But you can kind of imagine, like you just said, you can kind of imagine it wasn't that far off from my thinking that it was right here at my front doorstep.
Correct.
And as a matter of fact, if mama, like we were raised in a two-parent household, and it's funny because I didn't even think about that until I was way an adult. That I
Correct.
always talk about my grandma a lot, as if there was no man in the house, but he just worked all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We fully grew up in a two-parent household. A lot of our peers did not,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
far too normal. So we were abnormal in that sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was something that was a reality we lived. And he made a lot of money. And it was legal. And it was, all this stuff. And we were being taught right and all this stuff. So Marva, I would have to disagree with you with that because we were that. It's
We
just that they were not our mom and dad. They were our grandparents.
Well, here's the thing. I wasn't necessarily talking about us. I said there was a shock wave that went through the country because there are a lot of my friends who did say who and still say I didn't believe the Cosby Show because it was foreign to me. A lot of my friends said that it felt very normal to us and we liked it because we could relate to it. We could, but they couldn't relate to it. Even
Yeah, I
Kiki,
couldn't either.
there's an interview with Kiki Palmer, and she actually grew up. She actually grew up with her mother and her father, but she said she could not stand Claire Hustable because she was uppity. She wasn't used to no uppity person like that. And there's a lot of people who say that they actually weren't
I
familiar.
did. I heard that, but there's just people that I heard, I guess, defending it because maybe we desire it more or whatever. But I always took that as they saw what I saw
Hmm.
because I know, like, well, we're not supposed to say names, but you and I went to the same high school. I went there that one year. There's
Hmm.
one teacher in particular
I know you
that we
talking
could
about.
both okay, as an example, but there's more than that.
Yeah.
There's actually a few. There's a coach I can think of. There's so many. And what I would say, even in our city, that's why it was so um, relatable to me, not my personal life, because again, we were in a household with grandparents and hardly saw our grandfather, one of the parents, but There were people around me that were living that life as far as I could see, because I knew both parents were in the house. They both had good jobs, this, that, and other. They were professional people. Our
Right.
town is full of, if you didn't come up through agriculture, which everybody through the whole phase of agriculture had money, from the pickers all the way up to the growers and
Yeah, they
you
did.
know that, right? So
It was
everybody pretty
long.
much had money in our area. So there was that. They were otherwise teachers, and then we had lawyers. Those were the three big ones, I would say, from
Yeah.
this area. So that the Cosby Show, pretty much to me, I it was relatable. I saw it; it was real. But I get it.
So I have a question
Uh-huh.
because I need clarification
Okay.
because you said that people said felt that Claire was uppity.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see her as that. I thought she was very down to earth and very open minded and well rounded. So where does the uppity part come in at? I guess
Well,
that's where I'm
that
lost.
well, you have to think, and to me, going back, I felt like I never thought she was uppity. I never felt like she was uppity, but I did feel for some reason I was just, and I think it was just because of how they carried themselves. That part was slightly foreign to me. That part was slightly foreign to me only because I would still see, they lived in the brownstone, they lived in the inner city. They all had uh just the way they carried themselves. To me, it was like their money was shown different versus we didn't even I never considered my grandma rich, ever ever considered my grandma rich until one day one of my friends, whom we could, there's a distinction where they clarify certain kids as, some certain boys were pretty boys, and the ones that they call pretty boys, they wore the penny loafers, the khakis with the button up shirt collar, the polo collar, had maybe a gold chain on, and they had the low cut fade, and they was always clean. We call those pretty boys. He was a pretty boy, and I'm looking at him. I considered him and his family rich because I would have never said was rich. But one day we were walking to the bus stop, and I don't quite remember how the conversation went. But he said, "Yeah, cause Miss, my grandma said her name Rich," and I looked at him like he was a Medusa head, cause I'm like, "Who grandma?" And he said, your grandma Rich." And I literally stopped walking and had to look back because I was like, "You got to be talking about somebody else." And I said, "My grandma not rich." And he got offended and said, "Yes, she is. Your grandma rich. Your grandma is rich. I don't even know why you saying that." And I'm looking at my clothes, looking at down the street, trying to figure out what identified us as rich. And I'm like, what is he talking about? He is delusional. In my mind, I did not see us as rich. In my mind, I did not see us as wealthy. In my mind, I didn't even see us as comfortable. I didn't see it.
Right,
It wasn't until I got grown that I was able to realize exactly how good we had it.
right.
Now, there are certain elements that added to my brain as to why I thought the way I thought. And that's another podcast for another day with some therapy and some coffee. But
And
it
see,
did. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized just how wealthy we were, and why I looked at the Cosby shows as like, wow, I would love to be them one day. I would love to get there. Versus whereas Auntie Janisha felt much more closer than that because I don't know. I to
I have
me,
just about a 10-year age difference, about 10 years on you. So my perspective was just different as far as looking at things. I think that has a lot to do with your and my perspective.
because we was cutting grass and digging in the yard and
And Theo had to do those things too.
yes, I was gonna say, but the Cosby
There,
kids had to
that
do
was
those
our
things
life. They
too.
didn't let them do all this, that, and the third. They monitored their friends. That was our life. It's just that they weren't cursed at. We didn't get
Right.
it on the air. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's what you might be or whatever. Because a
It
lot
was.
of us, we look at that very firm, harsh parenting
Mhm,
as something on a level of who we are as well.
mhm,
And therefore we would not again see ourselves as the Cosbys because they didn't talk hard to their children.
mm-mm.
We can't imagine Rudy got her butt toe up, but if you think about it, you know she did because she ran with Bud, and you know they did some things because they alluded to those things.
Right.
You know they got the business. It just wasn't, and still isn't in a
Display.
lot of ways shown on TV that that's what you do.
But it is definitely highlighted. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had mentioned what's happening,
Yes.
and people would say to me that I was D because she was sassy and I'm sassy.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, she's you. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, I'm like, I didn't see it, but okay, whatever. You know, but but their mom also, you know, I could relate more to that show because it was a single mom and I grew up in a single parent. I didn't have any other siblings with me. It was just me. But um but yeah, she went off to work and she came home and she had expectations for the children, and when you're a single mom, I guess you just have to have those expectations, that certain things will be done by the time you get home. And if they're not done, then you just have to face the consequences. So
Sorry, some of that auntie and stuff going on right now.
see, auntie and stuff going. So I wanted to ask a question because we were talking about family shows, and I know that you really wanted to talk more about the chocolate family, but I wanted to ask, what do you feel about? So I
I
was I was watching a show with my friend's daughter, and it was a Disney show. And I was asking her, where are the parents? And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? So, what do you guys think about Disney, who is supposed to be a family oriented dynamic, I guess you can say, have shows where kids are raising kids? And what message do you think that is sending to today's youth?
I don't like it. I never
I've
did.
Yeah, I've always had something to say about that. And if we can go even back to the black shows you call chocolate shows, it's the same. There's been a dismantling of culture
Mm-hmm.
and the a promotion of a certain type of culture, but a dismantling of really solid family culture for everybody.
Mhm.
And that ain't even racist. That's like everybody. That's like people that look like the people that's pushing the buttons too. Like it's crazy to me, right? So they
Right.
don't care about nobody. When you don't show parents and children are just running willy nilly, yes, that sends a message. Like they don't really have to listen. There's, you go off your own laurels. You ask your friend. You're not really getting solid advice. They never really kind of show that sort of thing.
Right.
But even with going back to the African American or black shows, with ours, it's like there could never consistently be serious um, subject matter. Every single show, and one of my good friends challenged me on this. He brought this to my attention. Every single show that we have just named today,
Mm-hmm.
good shows, but every single one of them was a comedy. it's not that way on the other side. There are some good, solid shows, but they're not all comedy. Every single black show is a comedy.
Because that's
It
how we
has that
viewed that.
element. And
Mhm.
that blew me when cause I really was like stumped, like, yes, we do. But every single one of them, there was the laugh factor in it. Like, we just can't have real life because we have real life out here. Everything is not fun and games. And it
Right.
doesn't have to be that heavy either, but it's not all funny, not by a long shot. So I
No.
think there's just the whole thing is like way off how these children are raising themselves. Straight to to answer your question, you imagine there's some parents somewhere, but like that's somewhere, maybe, I don't know. It's
Uh,
weird, very weird.
so I just want to touch on one thing that you said about there not being any serious subject matter with chocolate shows. The Cosby, even though
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me be clear, because I said not consistent. Like there, like let's say Little House on the Prairie or any of those shows, they had funny moments. But you can say truly that they're African American shows, and you can say truly that they are comedies.
Yeah.
mm,
But
oh, okay.
there are so many shows done by everybody else,
Yeah.
series and stuff like that, that are not comedy.
I feel like the only one that was not comedy was Grownish. Because Blackfish was definitely
There's that comedic factor
comedy.
in that one too, because I
There
brought
was,
that one up.
but
I,
there's comedic factor, but it was predominantly non-comedy though. Because the first one was. This one was settled around more. I mean, like you said, it had the comedy factor, but it was settled around more thought-provoking
oh, I'm
more.
sorry. I was thinking about the first one, Blackish.
Yeah, no, Grownish when she left to
Grownish,
go to
I haven't
college.
checked out yet.
That
I've,
one was more, it was very more thought-provoking because it was a lot of questioning as a young adult.
Hmm.
mm,
And but for the most part, yeah, all the rest of them was comedy all the way up to right now.
okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Atlanta, Insecure, all of them. They're all comedy.
So, do you feel that they have that comedic atmos flair to um
I feel like it's simply because they don't want us to take anything serious.
Hmm.
okay.
It's I don't it's not uh promoted that black society should take anything serious.
Right.
And if you look at how we always got something funny to say in response to everything, it's working.
Yeah. But
I
so
mean,
I
it's
was
a pain reliever too. I will say to
that
the credit, because I'm torn on it, to be quite
that's what I
honest.
was yeah,
Although I
that's
notice, but it doesn't. It does the same thing that would have been had we not had a Cosby show. Like, it's just not even possible.
Yeah.
So we
right.
deserve actually to have that sort of thing, where there isn't comedy. It's not centered around just making somebody laugh every 13 minutes, or well, they're not even on that long. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
We deserve to have everything about us. But then again, we're going to have to make that. We can't wait on someone else to do those things, right?
Right. So that was going to be my next question you because aren't the shows cuz I think you meant Blackish, isn't he the writer of that show?
Yeah.
The main character, I don't know his name. Isn't he the main writer for that show?
Are we talking about Anthony Anderson?
Is that his name?
I'm not sure.
The whatever the main character is.
Is he the dad? Because I haven't seen
Yes.
Black that much. I've only seen clips.
Yeah, I haven't. That's the one with Diana Ross's daughter in it, right?
No, that's Girlfriends. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, she's on that one too. Sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, Blackish. And
Is
and
it?
she's the
It
mom. She's the mom. She's a nurse practitioner.
yes, isn't the gentleman who plays her husband, isn't he the writer of that show?
They both are.
Oh, well,
The,
then
the the main writer is it's that so that story is based on the main writer and his wife. They actually write the show. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but it's a couple.
oh, okay. Okay. Because I was going to say, isn't that on us if we are the writers of these shows, and we're throwing the comedic flavor in, because it's like we can't exist without the comedy,
We can
or
definitely exist without the
or
comedy. It's just
or do they feel that if there isn't any comedy, the show isn't going to be picked up?
oh,
Probably both of those. I mean, we expect it. The fact that we're here talking about it, how much interest might we actually have if there were not that? Even for myself, I'm fully looking at it. It's been called to my attention.
Mm.
but I can honestly say there are tons of shows now. Now that I'm thinking about it, there are tons of shows now that don't come from the comedic side, but they are not on live TV. They are not on cable TV. You have to pay for the channel.
Oh.
Yep, yep. They are not on cable TV. Um, yeah, and it's sad because why wouldn't those be on cable TV? Why wouldn't they work on cable TV?
And we can say this too. Out of we're always well, there's a number of people, a large number of people saying they only promote violence and this, that, and the third. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing that's being pushed the most. And I hear a whole lot of people talking about like power and stuff like that. It's like we have an appetite for, let me say, filth. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just say that. That's my word for it.
Yep.
That's what it
Yep.
is. We do have an appetite for foolishness.
Yep.
Mm.
No matter how we feel about it, that's what it is.
So I found an article, right? And it talks about the difference between the shows from back then versus um the shows that they show now. One of them says it says so this article is called, sorry, go back to my notes here. So this article is called "Was the Golden Age of '90s Black Sitcoms Actually Golden?" It, and the writer talks about how she just absolutely loved the Cosby Show, The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Martin Family Matters, and how good those shows were. Um, she talked about her having a crush on every one of the shows, but it depicted the black family and how there was togetherness and love and funny, and even though there were situations they had to overcome, they were still together. And she said, I'm gonna go here. I couldn't help I couldn't help but wonder what is it? I couldn't help but wonder, why did the 90s golden age of black TV come to an end? Was the world just not ready for it? Or did those shows actually get nixed because they weren't as good as I remember? She says, the thought alone left me unsettled. I mean, could nostalgia really have clouded my judgment that much? And she went into a deep dive into breaking down, each one of these shows, starting from like we said, the 70s, around that time, the Sanford and Son, Good Times, the Jeffersons, what they were. Then she brought up into the Parkers. It was in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. The breakthrough came to becoming mainstream shows between Sanford and Son, Good Times, and the Jeffersons. That's where they were able to quote cross over, end quote, into multicultural viewing, right? And then here
Mm-hmm.
come the 80s. There's the Cosby Show. They talked about the Cosby Show running the airwaves for the longest, and then until it came to the Parkers. And the Parkers has been, and to this day, the highest rated African American show on the air, with a viewership of about 5 million viewers in the black home on average. And that was less than half of the numbers posted for Dharma and Greg. I never watched Dharma and Greg, but I do remember it coming on the air. So she went on to say, um, she went on to describe how, and you can find this link in the bio, or in the what Auntie be putting the stuff at.
The description.
You can find this link in the description. You can read the entire article. But I was just babbling there. But she just wanted to, she was wondering, um did those shows actually depict what we needed to see? And what did it do for us? She says, with streaming platforms introducing the classic sitcoms to a new generation, um, it it left her feeling like maybe we were fantasizing about a world that we didn't think could really exist. So I asked you guys, I'm gonna ask y'all, how do you think the Gen Z and the millennials interpret their messages as far as going back and looking at our shows? And do you really believe today's TV carries the same cultural impact? Obviously we don't, for those audiences. And how did it change for the good, or did it change for the bad?
Mm, I think for me, I was trying when you were reading that, I was trying to think how many family TV shows am I currently watching at the moment?
Okay.
And my answer to that is none.
There isn't one family show that you watch right now? Not
The, I
one.
I would think I think the closest to a family show that I'm watching is probably Irrational, and it's because it's a brother and a sister that live together.
Hmm.
But no, that would be the closest. And all the other shows that I watch, they're all detective shows.
Mm.
I have gotten so far away from family shows. Yeah.
But
Or
why do you think that is? Is it that you think you've had enough of those type of shows, that you want something different?
I think it's just more that, like I said, I've always been a detective girl. I've
Hmm.
always been a detective show girl,
Hmm.
and I mean, I can count on one hand the family shows that I watch. Half of them, half the shows you've mentioned, I've never even heard of.
So you telling us you don't count?
So yeah, you can't count me in that because yeah, because no, the Equalizer, I guess that would be the only other family show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a family dynamic on there. It's her and her
Yeah,
daughter,
yeah, her daughter and the auntie,
and the secret life.
but yeah, but as far as family shows like with that comedic, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm just really watching The Equalizer, Irrational, and I'm trying to keep it to an all chocolate cast, or main chocolate cast.
Mm.
And those are the only two shows that have a lot of chocolate casts that I am watching.
Mm.
The only other, but it's not. I don't know if I can count Matlock. The new I'm trying to think. Is the new Matlock? Yeah, I guess that would. I guess it's a. I guess you can say it's a family show, but it doesn't have that comedic. Is because they're lawyers. So no, I'm really not.
Okay, Auntie, we're gonna come back to you, Auntie, because you just you-
Calm down.
Auntie Johnny should, because Auntie Destiny is tripping.
Can you can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it came on in the car. All right. I think that we did have expectations. I think it opened up a floodgate of expectations to see other people
Mm-hmm.
because we know what we live.
Yeah.
And even when it does show a whole lot more violence and stuff like that, that opens us up to other people's experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have I think it's been for the good by and large.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how to switch y'all from the car right now. I'm very stuck.
So it's so funny.
Well, here's my thing. It's okay. So yes, right. I agree with Auntie Janisha. Yes, there was that expectation definitely was there. My the only different and when I think back, because now you see all these little inserts of, especially being on social media,
You're
people always
welcome.
talking about, oh, the 90s was so fun, and 90s college was so fun, or 90s high school was so fun. And I guess everybody can say that about their generation or whatever. There's everybody's was always the best, but it's always highlighted about how the 90s was so fun because a lot of people's college years did mirror a different world. A lot of people's um lifestyle kind of did mirror living single. But when you think about Gen Z, specifically the current generations, Gen Z and millennials, and how they operate and how they think and how they maneuver, that that's not us, right? It's
Right.
it's a huge gap. It's a huge gap, and I say that just because there's some of them. It's a huge gap in between their thinking and our thinking, and sometimes it just wonders like what caused that. Because I'm specifically speaking on the entitlement, and yeah, I'm doing a little finger pointing right here now. The entitlement, um, which can be good, because they're determined to do what they want to do. Period. And
Right.
now sometimes there's nothing going to change that. Versus, um, there is some truth in getting on a thing and sticking with it, because eventually it's gonna work for you, instead of like the quick thing, the quick fix. And I'm thinking about economics right now. The Gen Zs want theirs now. I want it now. I want to hear, I want it now. And where a lot of them have been successful, a lot of them are hurting. A vast majority of them are hurting because they didn't believe in what we saw, like that. That golden era that we lived in. Is it that they don't believe in it? Like there's a huge gap there.
But that's what's baffling to me because you and I before when we were speaking on the Cosby Show, how
Mhm.
our lives in a lot of ways, even though you said it was somewhat foreign to you, our
Mhm.
lives reflected that in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
You didn't see it because you're inside of it,
Right.
right? I'll give anybody that. You don't see it because it wasn't as soft as their life seemed to be, right?
Right.
Our young people right now, they came up in a time where the older ones, right? They did get to see some of in living color,
Yeah.
living single.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say in living color. That's a
They
whole
did.
nother show
They
for a
did.
whole nother time. But that's
They
not what
did
I'm
though.
they did. But living single, right?
Mhm.
And these shows that we were talking about, they are shows where people actually work together that look like each other, that look like us right here on this show.
Mhm. Black
So if
makeup.
that was the example to be set, how did we end up to what you were saying? How did we end up here where
Yeah.
it's such an individual thing?
Yeah.
I happen to feel like, just like the quote at the beginning, we did a poor job of repeating the thing and promoting the thing that actually would and could and can still work. We allowed people to tell us, no, it's you can't work with people. You can't work with your own. And those shows were actually showing us, yes, it's easier to have a roommate. Everybody's not going to get along, but it's easier. It's easier for those Cosby kids. When Pam came and moved with that family, she was At that burgeoning like young adult, she was being ushered in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
But she came to a household where sometimes at that age kids are moving out, but she was coming in.
Right.
I think because of this culture, which is foreign to us naturally, our DNA, this is foreign. This is not how it's supposed to be. We were much more family oriented. Kids, and even like in other cultures, most cultures, except for this Western one, nobody pushes their kids out, even after they're fully a legal adult. Nobody pushes their kids out. Things are done all together. There's a communal thing that we did not promote. We allowed each other to keep repeating, you can't work with us. You can't work with us. Those shows were showing us, yes, you can. And maybe that was the point of it being so funny because it didn't make it real because it was funny all the doggone time.
Mhm.
That might be what it is. Why it has to be so funny so that we wouldn't, like you said earlier, Auntie Marva, we wouldn't take it seriously. But we totally did the opposite thing. We saw how those young people got on, they built their businesses and they had their love lives, their ups and downs and friends to talk to and stuff like that. But we try and do everything on an individual basis. That's not even our nature. So we're living counter to who we are. So although I feel like we got the possibilities and we see the possibilities still, we're living culture we're living in a culture that promotes otherwise. And that's what we're going with. What this culture is saying, rather than what we already know to be possible. I think that's the issue. There's a big disconnect with our spirit and our physical, to me. Our spirit knows it's possible, but our physical, we just go and do whatever.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that too. But
Maybe
you
they're looking
know,
at us with a little bit of disappointment too.
yeah, yeah. But Auntie Marva, earlier you talked about the entitlement of the new generation. I I see that a lot, but there are those, like, my caregiver is she's a, what is she? She's a Gen Y, whatever's after the millennia. I think it's Gen Y. And I don't see that entitlement in her that I have seen in others. She she isn't one of those who is expecting everything to be handed to her on a silver platter. And so while a lot of them do have that entitlement, it's nice to see the few that are that get up every day and work for the things that they want in life, instead of expecting it to be handed to them.
I'm so sorry. I was doing the auntie thing again.
Nope, you're
keep
fine.
calling. Nick keep calling me.
But so here's my question, because you were asking that. Is it that because the shows that I watched was because someone in my household was watching them? They're not shows that I would have seeked out, when I growing up. So, do you think that a lot of them have gotten away from that because their parents, because those shows aren't being broadcast in their household?
Mm. You
Oh
seeing like
wow.
parents
There's
aren't
a lot
aren't
to be said for that.
fully monitoring everything that they're taking in. That's now there's some truth there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yes. There is a yes to that. I know the sitcoms and stuff we wanted to watch. Mama wasn't with that. She didn't want us to watch them. But when you young, you're gonna find out what you want to see. Might
Mhm.
not be able to see everything, but you're gonna be able to see some of what you want to see. Um, She didn't want us watching Martin. She didn't want us watching In Living Color. She didn't want us watching a lot of different things, but we still got to see them. So yes, very much so. We wanted the clown. We wanted to laugh. We wanted to. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Auntie. You are absolutely correct
That
because
that
parents really aren't monitoring. Majority of the parents are not monitoring what their kids are taking in because even now they're watching it in the handhelds with headphones, so they really don't know what half of them be watching.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. I would agree with that. Parents do set the tone. Even with like the types of music, because some of the stuff that our children should not be taking in is they're being
Marketed
exposed to
as
it
children.
because no,
Hmm.
I was about to say they're being exposed to it because of their parents. It's what their parents are watching. It's what their parents are listening to.
Yeah.
And it goes in the other direction too. My grandmother was not one. Our grandmother was not one who was big on blackness, promoting blackness. She promoted work ethics and getting that bread, and being a
Mm-hmm.
decent human being as well. That's what she
Mm-hmm.
was doing.
And
And
education.
yeah, but no, I wouldn't even say that.
Mm.
She didn't want us going to school cutting up, and she didn't want us coming home stupid, as everybody hates Chris Mama would say on that. But she was more on you go and you get your money. That's how you're gonna do something,
Don't
right?
let nobody feel like they can out get over on you. Don't let nobody
Right.
feel like that they
Financial.
can take you. Yeah.
And therefore,
Mm.
again, that's why we had money and didn't even know it because she was very frugal, is what y'all want to say. But it was cheap. She was cheap.
It
But
was
as
true.
far as not teaching us our history and stuff like that, and she didn't cower down. She would speak openly about things when it came up. She didn't let nobody punk her because they look like other people. And I've seen that a lot with some of us. We'll cower back because it's other folks.
Right.
But she wasn't like that. She stood
Mm-mm.
up. She stood up in her boots.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm.
were not soft at all,
Ooh.
and that was against anybody, right?
Eight
Right.
feet
But there
tall.
again, because she wasn't one that was going to sit down with us and watch Roots and talk about that. I didn't get that from her. So I was saying all that to say parents set the tone because it's also what they're not teaching, the conversations they're not having about the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that yes we could be listening to that would be beneficial, right?
Right.
Not just the stuff we shouldn't, but also stuff that maybe we should. She didn't do that. To this day, I haven't seen Ruth. Now it's on me since I'm 50 some, but that didn't come from my upbringing.
Hmm. Now she made us watch it.
She did.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I
Now,
My,
could not stand it.
mom did all of my political education. I'm going to say political education came from our mom. That's where that came from.
mm.
Not
See,
from and we only visited her in the summertime.
Yep.
right.
So
See,
I know all about the Black Panthers.
my grandmother promoted education. She was all about the education. But when Roots came out, I was actually in foster care. And so my foster parents had all of us sit down as a family and watch it,
Oh.
you know. And um look, being the only chocolate person in the house was just
I was
That
about to
that
say,
was
well, how was
uncomfortable.
that?
I was just what'd you say, Auntie
I
Marva?
was about to ask you, how was that experience like?
Well, but I mean, I'm used to being the only chocolate person in the room or in the neighborhood or in the
Yeah, but
school.
not sitting there
So,
watching Roots.
oh, well, I mean, it was what, 12? I was what, 12, 13 when it came out, and I they were all crying and they were all apologizing to me, and I was like, well, why are you apologizing to me? You didn't do it. I'm just like, I'm like, it's just, they're like, but doesn't it make you feel sad or mad? Or I'm like, No, it's a part of history. I'm like, there's a lot of things that happen in history. Are we gonna get mad and sad about everything that happens?
I'd have been
I'm
throwing
like,
books into the wall.
I'm like, but
They would have been whitewashing my fence, just like on Tom Sawyer Huckleberry Fence.
I'd have been, give me the peanut butter jelly now.
Extra heavy
no.
on the peanut butter and the jelly.
And I want ice
Mm,
in my cup. Give me some
mm,
ice on my milk.
Take this
mm,
back. I want colder ice.
mm. No, that, but
Butter, freshly churned.
you, you guys are silly.
I want
But
Cambodian milk from the.
no, but I mean, you know, I guess it was a good experience for them. I don't know. I mean, we did talk about it as a family, like after it aired and stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm always just mellow until I'm not, until you push me and I'm not. So things that bother other people don't bother me. But now knowing that I have autism, that could be a huge reason too.
Right. And as a child, I'm sure you didn't have all of the verbiage, right?
Right.
You know, you
Well,
wouldn't have as a child.
right.
But
No.
now, I think we as adults, we have a responsibility to um not dismiss when people are trying to understand. Like if you took that same, I mean, to each his own, but I think it's very it's further damaging when someone's trying to, and you could tell when people are being sincere for the most part, they're
Right.
really wanting to understand, or they're apologizing even though it wasn't them per se. They might just be apologizing because I didn't know, and understand that with not knowing certain things, you're going to act on things in a certain way, right? And now
Right.
they have the opportunity to understand, oh, there are certain things that I've been doing, I had no idea that this could have been affecting this entire group, right?
Right.
And I think what I'm saying is, it's further damaging. It does not help when we as adults take the stance that, oh, you didn't know. Allow them that level of wherever they are and say,
Mhm.
it's okay. And then maybe accept the responsibility. We all got to do better then, or something like that. Not just dismiss it and let everybody off the hook, or I forgive you, or, any of that stuff,
Right.
because it kind of negates the whole thing. Like, it's okay for everybody to just continue to walk and ignore things that we all actually see.
Right.
See
So
it.
right. So um I can say her name because she's been on this show. When I started working with Bree and she was listening to the podcast, one of the things that she said to me is that our podcast makes her stop and think, do I do this? Do I do these things? Have I said that?
Hmm.
And so she has said that that's one of the things that she really appreciates about our podcast, because it's a learning experience for her. It makes her stop and think, being a vanilla person, do I act like that? Do I
Auntie, you is
say
killing
that?
me. Auntie is
You
killing me with
know?
this chocolate and this vanilla.
And so and And so I appreciated that, that our podcast w- made someone want to stop and think, and look inside themselves to say, hmm, stop and pause and just be like, hmm, have I, whatever, whatever, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
So
I mean. Yeah.
yeah, well, this was a good topic. Thank you for the topic, Auntie Marva. But we do have to move on to our segments, and so for loving connections, building better relationships, we are scheduling a movie night for two. Auntie Marva, we're going to turn it over to you for Career Corner.
Okay. So for Career Corner, I figured I would keep it since we were talking about television and sitcoms and all that good, good, good. I would just, happily visit the realm of television production because I mean, it is my background. And so let's just stay there.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, um, I have, wait a minute. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, here we go. So I have the first opportunity is with here in the Orlando area. WWE is looking for writers. They're looking for writers and producers. This would be on site. So that's why I said specifically in the Orlando area. They are looking for individuals with writing background who knows the brand, knows and understand wrestling and televised wrestling, sorry, and television production, and is looking for individuals who can come up with new, creative, descriptive, thought-provoking, captivating, and creative storylines for the NXT roster. And NXT roster is the roster that is not the main roster of WWE, which is the actual WWE wrestlers. NXT are the candidates that are competing to become a part of the main roster. But it is very much a its own segment. They actually at one point was competing with the main roster because the productions and the storylines were so good that the fans were turning to them at one point, and they were seeking them over the main roster. But anyway, they're looking for that. You can find that link in the description. Also, if you are have any video and photography experience, um Nemours, which is a hospital brand, they are looking for a videographer and photographer producers. And this is around the country. Nemours is a hospital brand around the country, and they are looking for various videographer, photographer, producers at numerous locations around the country. That would be a hybrid position, so you would work sometime in office and on location, and most likely editing from home. And third, but last but not least, we are looking for several different positions with the brand called Fox Television Stations. So Fox Television Stations is owned by Fox Corporation, the typical Fox Corporation that we are familiar with, but they own hundreds of news stations across the country as well. And they are looking for camera operators, on-air personality. They're looking for producers. They're looking for editors. They're looking for photographers. They're looking for night producers. They're looking for utility. They're looking for tons and tons and tons of positions at various news stations across the country. They own over 185 news stations throughout the country, so there's plenty of opportunity there. You will be able to find this link as well in the bio, and I hope y'all get the job because it's lit over here in television land.
Yay. Auntie Janisha, what were you thinking?
Oh, well, you might not like this one at all.
Mm,
So, I would like to know what they were thinking. Okay, okay. It's a cute idea just because of who she is. And I love the queen too, Queen Latifah. End of the Road. It was a cool movie, but the action scenes, it was just too far fetched for me, right?
Hmm?
But
okay.
that really ain't even the what were you thinking? So they did that movie first. Probably had already taped some of the Equalizer or whatever. But Auntie, I really don't see her in that role. The action, it requires too much action. It just ain't it. And I love the Queen, but what were they
Ah,
thinking?
my
Ooh, I knew
heart.
that one was gonna be touchy.
I
My,
I
my,
just don't like it. I don't like that cast. Her cast as that.
My heart.
Oh, Chris.
Ah,
If they had a body double and did some more moves or whatever, but it ain't there.
my
Because Equalizer got to be too physical, and she ain't it.
I
my
am crying, honey.
heart. I veto.
I
You
am
hurt, but the
crying, honey.
gonna be hurt because she ain't hurting them.
Veto. She is
Italy.
excellent in that role. She be kicking butt. You know what? We
She
going
does
to the
not
next.
be kicking butt.
We going to the next one. Okay. I see you. I hear you. Um, all right,
I'm
parents,
sorry, but
grab your kids, grab your calendar, and map out your days, your hour for the month to spend with your children. I can't believe I just can't. I just
it's
can't.
okay. I just want to know what they were
All
thinking.
right. All right,
Oh,
now back
cry.
back to the Killjoy Auntie Janisha for Auntie's bookshelf. What book do you have for us? Are you dissing Queen Latifah again?
No, but I do have three mamas that I also consider queens. They're the this book that I've read. It's called The Three Mothers, right? And it's how the mothers of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin shaped a nation. It's by Anna Maleka Tubbs. I absolutely love it because we've gotten a lot about the brothers, their sons, but
Mm-hmm.
not very much. A lot of us didn't know a lot about the mothers,
Right.
and they were actually raised by their mothers, so we should know a little bit more. You know where the thinking come from, and that's what this book does. It gives you a lot more background as to who these women were and how they and why they raised their sons to be the awesome individuals that we have come to know through history. So, Alberta King is Martin's mom. Louise Little is Malcolm's mom. And Bertis Baldwin is James' mother. So it just really kind of weaves in and out um, how Louise, it was because she was an activist. I think she and his, well, not I think, but she and his father, they were actually Pan Africanists. They were Garveyites, Marcus Garvey. And then we know that Alberta King, she was just strong in her faith. So that's where Dr. Martin Luther King got that from. And then Bertis Baldwin taught James Baldwin to express himself through his writing. And that's how we got the awesome writer that he was. So it's a really good book. And the name of it again is The Three Mothers: How the Mothers of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin Shaped a Nation. Just by
Oh.
being mama. Just by
Oh.
being mama.
Oh, cool. Sounds like a very interesting book.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're going to move on to our open topics. Our first one. Where would you go if you had a time machine? Auntie Marva?
Where would I go? Time machine. Where would
Mm.
I go? Oh, goodness. I don't know. Give me a second.
All right. Auntie Janisha?
Oh, I would go into the time um, when I was speaking, like the Harlem Renaissance, when Black love was I wouldn't say at its height because there's been different times, but I have always admired us during that time,
Mm,
the Harlem Renaissance. I would go to that specific space.
mm. I would go back to to the time where the pyramids were built because I really want to know if they were built by aliens.
That's a good question.
Because I
But
just like,
the thing about that, Auntie, you know they found some pyramids down in South Miami that date back hundreds of years before the ones in Egypt.
Hmm. They
yeah,
are
I
all
just
over the world.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to be able to answer that question if they were built by aliens.
And then what? You have to have a B because
Yeah.
you get
Well,
that one
you
answered.
know,
Then what?
I know. Well, because I was watching Stargate recently, and
Oh Lord.
I was like, were they really built by aliens?
Legit. It wasn't built by no humans with an excavator. That's for sure.
So yeah, I would love to answer that question. And then I would, let's see. Once I got that question answered, where would I want to go? I don't know where I would want to go next. I just really want to know the answer to that question for right now.
I don't think I would want to go back because I don't. Knowing me, it took me a long time to get here where I am mentally. So, mm-mm,
No,
mm-mm.
even as a, I mean, I would want to go as an observer, not
An
as like
experiencer.
right, right, because
But
I
can you
might
pick and choose?
end up on the wrong side. You know what I mean? I just want to be an observer. I don't
You
want to
have
be a
control.
participant. I just
You have
May I
control over
enter
that. You
this?
can pick and choose.
hey, it's my time machine.
May I enter this into the show? Okay, so I recently saw this thing on YouTube. It was a fan theory that Leonardo DiCaprio was a time traveler on the Titanic.
Ooh.
And it showed
Ooh.
the backpack that his friend, remember, is him and another guy that stowed away on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
guy's backpack wasn't, that company wasn't invented yet, is what the young man said,
Mm-hmm.
the narrator of this particular fan theory.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, had um, Leonardo DiCaprio not saved her life, it would not have hit the iceberg. Because if somebody had fallen over the ship, they would have slowed down and they would have missed the iceberg. It would have changed
Mm-hmm.
course, right?
Right.
And then he finished up with, as a matter of fact, that's what kind of catapulted his career. Now, this is where he threw me, but this was a good one too. He said Leonardo DiCaprio is a real time traveler, not just in the movie, but in life, because because he made sure to be himself in the movie to catapult his career doing that thing. And if it was not for that thing happening back then, so he can be in the movie, we wouldn't know anything about a Leonardo DiCaprio right now.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
right.
But I knew who he was before he became a big movie star because
Gilbert Grape.
no,
Oh,
he started off in the TV show Family Ties.
he was.
Yep. Later, he was like a neighbor or a cousin or something. He
Yeah,
was young.
you and 10 other people might remember that, but the way we know him now, I think is what the young man was talking about.
Now,
Yes.
girl,
Yeah.
what's eating
Oh,
Gilbert Grape was my movie.
oh.
Go and
I
get your
didn't see
brother
that.
out that tree.
Okay, look, we're almost out of time. So I have to one more. What is one band or musician you would love to party with?
Mm,
Oh,
mm. One,
One.
Prince,
I knew she was going to say that.
Prince and his crew. Sign me up. Where we
And
going? I got my boots. I got my blouse. What we doing?
Auntie
your
Janita.
blouse.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'm sure he has an extra one.
Exactly.
Right.
Hmm. I don't know.
You don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yes, sir. I know Poochie.
Oh,
Auntie Danisha. I know who for you. The Commodores.
no, no, no. Never. No,
No.
no, no.
What?
I
Okay,
would think.
Maybe
new edition.
maybe actually no, not them either. They fight too much. Anybody got time for all that foolishness? I don't want to hang out with them. They might have been into stuff I'm not into anyway. They would have been like, "Bye, Felicia," and I would have been, "All right, I'm out." Because ew. um, if anybody, or maybe Earth, Wind, and Fire, because of their music, I would love to like have talked to them and as a group, and then all their clothes. I actually love that. But
Mm-hmm.
they have some fun music and some thoughtful music, stuff like that.
They
Maybe
did.
them.
Yeah. I know it says one. I just couldn't. I couldn't narrow it down. So I would have to say, if it was today, right now, it would be you two because I love Bono.
No,
Yes, I love Bono.
they get on my nerves.
No, I love
They
Bono.
get on my nerves because when they had that contract with all the Apple iPhones, that's the first album that was automatically uploaded to your Apple Music.
I just
It-
read that.
and I
Oh,
was
was
like,
it really?
I got so sick of hearing that album every time you open up Apple Music. I say, and you couldn't delete it off of there either. I was like, y'all wrong. I was so sick, and I used to like them before then. Before,
All right. So Apple ruined YouTube for you.
yep,
Ah,
A
that
lot
was
of
a
people,
done
because
deal.
I'd never heard of that thing. I'm new to Apple, maybe mm, 4 or 5 years,
wow.
so I never knew that. But
Them
yeah,
folks,
a lot
them
of
folks
people were
had
commenting on that.
them folks had me want to fight YouTube boy, and I used to actually like them, but it was very, very smart on their behalf because they got streams from artists from fans that they would have never had, and they ended up with millions and billions of streams because of that.
Right.
So
But
made me so
but but
angry, so angry.
but that sounds like an Apple's fault, not a YouTube fault. It sounds like Apple.
Great marketing on their behalf. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Ah, I can't believe Apple is ruining YouTube.
Annoying on mine, but great, 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 great marketing.
Well, ladies, it has been a crazy month, but thank you for being flexible and recording out of sequence. And um, hopefully we can get back on track. Hopefully I won't get sick again. Hopefully I won't fall again. Um, since it's my fault this time. So, but thank you. And we will see everyone actually within a couple of weeks. I can't even say next month because we're gonna be recording again in like 2 weeks. So
Yep. Yep.
so we'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, folks.
Well, it was a pleasure. I'm always sad when it comes to an end. Auntie Marva, thank you again for your topic. It was a
You're
great topic.
welcome. You're welcome.
And everyone, be safe, be happy, and enjoy this journey called life. And we will see you all in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Peace.